What's going on, everybody? It's Bitcoin Jay here, and it's been quite an eventful week in the crypto market altogether. Why is Bitcoin again trading below $18,000? What is going on? Is everything going to zero? Well, those are some of the questions that I will try to answer in this video today. Now, before we dive deeper into the price and before I give you a clear bullish and a bearish case for Bitcoin going into next year, I think it's noteworthy to simply talk about the news for a bit first. What is causing this reaction in the crypto markets? Well, basically, FTX, one of the biggest exchanges in the world, this week apparently has become insolvent. There were already rumors before this that something was wrong with FTX, which is the exchange owned by Sam Bankman-Fried. And this week, basically, they came out yesterday publicly asking for the help of Binance, the biggest player in the industry, to basically bail them out. Why? Because they simply cannot pay their creditors anymore. They are insolvent, is basically what is happening. So if one of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world, where billions and billions and billions of daily traded volume occurs and where billions and billions of dollars is basically situated from retail, well, of course that is going to create a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt in the crypto market, and this is very bearish news, of course, macro wise speaking, because what we had on Bitcoin, and it's already interesting to take a look at the price for Bitcoin. Back in June here, when we created these June lows, we had other news. We had Three Arrows Capital getting liquidated, we had the Celsius news, we had Voyager news, all kinds of troubles. Well, now, once again, we are running into one of these bear market events again, which is a big exchange basically collapsing. Now, the news is quite mixed because, yes, FTX has become insolvent and they also have paused withdrawals yesterday, which is, of course, a very bad thing for retail. While this is true, basically they have asked for help from another bigger player, actually the biggest player in the crypto industry, from Binance. And yesterday, Binance publicly came out and said that, okay, we have a non-binding agreement that we will do our due diligence on FTX and we will try to basically help. We will try to protect the investors. We will try to protect all the assets and basically all the liabilities that FTX still has. Now, one thing that has to be clarified first and foremost is that FTX has problems, that FTX has asked the help for Binance to basically bail them out, and that Binance is not saying no, but that they have a non-binding agreement. Meaning that if Binance does its due diligence on FTX and maybe they find out that, oh wow, there is really that much amount of debt and that is even too much for a bigger player like Binance, then they are not bound to take over FTX. They basically stated that, yes, we will look into FTX and maybe actually we will bail them out and we will try to help protect them and help protect the people who basically have funds stuck in FTX right now by taking over FTX. Now, that's a whole lot to process because actually FTX is owned by Sam Bankman-Fried on the one hand, Binance is owned by CZ on the other hand. Sam and CZ, two owners of like the two biggest exchanges basically, they've always been in a kind of fight. They had beef with each other. Even on crypto Twitter this week, really shots being fired back and forth between the two of them. So it was interesting to see yesterday that actually Sam apparently asked for the help of Binance to basically bail out his exchange. And well, I think things are coming full circle because Binance was also the first investor in FTX. So now we'll see what happens. The thing is that FTX has a lot of trouble at the moment. And this is also the main catalyst why the price of Bitcoin fell that significantly yesterday. If the biggest exchange in the market is going down, if people aren't sure that they will be able to withdraw their funds anymore, the general idea in the market is problem, sell, get out of crypto as fast as we can, and it's all horrible. Now, Obviously, we don't like to see a price for Bitcoin here at around $17,600. It's, of course, a very low price. And what is very important here, just in terms of price, is to look at the previous low that we have created here earlier this year on, well, basically in the middle of June. We wicked down to about $17,600. And we've held that low for all this time. And then yesterday here, boom, or this week, boom, the FTX news comes out. FTX is insolvent. Boom. We come back to these lows that we created in June. And everybody is extremely bearish, and for good reason, because the price is going down that drastically. But is this really the time to sell your crypto holdings? Obviously, none of this is financial advice, but I personally like to look at things way more from a technical standpoint and not so much basing my investment decisions on news. Because the thing is, with news, one day it is extremely bad, the next day it flips, another week later it constantly fluctuates. People are constantly assuming, like, is this actually a good news that Binance is taking over FTX? There's a lot of controversy there too, because you have to understand, Binance taking over FTX would basically mean that Binance is they are already the biggest player in the crypto industry. And if they absorb FTX, then they are absorbing so much of the market share to the point where we can ask ourselves the question, is crypto really that decentralized anymore? Now, Bitcoin itself is a decentralized network, but if so much of the whole market is in the hands of one company, like, for example, Binance, what is our decentralization then? Or are we just, is Binance the new crypto, or is it becoming the new crypto bank, basically? So there's a lot of things to kind of worry about, that people are worrying about, like, and that's basically the best advice that I can personally give you is stop focusing on the news. So I know that this is actually a video coming to you saying this is the news. FTX has problems. They're probably gonna get bailed out by Binance. Binance is absorbing FTX. Probably the funds of the users of FTX is going to be okay. But what I would advise you to do is stick more to technical analysis. And really, this is what I focus on in Penny Boys and Titan all the time. And I always say that I don't do news, because really the chart gives the game away way more than any news. So this video is actually a warm welcome to skip the news and to look with me at the charts here. So what we have seen for Bitcoin is obviously a huge dump earlier this year. And as I said, that dump was fueled by liquidations of Three Arrows Capital, Voyager, Celsius, other decentralized exchanges. And that has brought us to a very significant low at $17,600 for Bitcoin. Ever since we've basically been range trading between this level at 17,600 and between the range high at 25,200. Now, whenever you are trading in a range, which this is actually a range, we have a range low, we have a range high, and again, we're coming to the range low. Usually what you will see around the range high is bullish news coming out, and people are becoming extremely bullish and it's going to the moon, and then before we know, actually the price comes down and moves to the range low. Now, I am absolutely not saying that Bitcoin will not come down lower. And actually yesterday in Titan, we had an entry for Bitcoin at $16,900, which was almost a wick low. So we are very, very, very prepared for the downside scenario. But what I do want to say here is that as long as Bitcoin does not close a daily candle close below $17,600, it's extremely risky to, for example, start shorting here, because really all this is range trading between a range low, a range high, coming back to the range low and basically getting the stop losses out of the people that went long earlier and that still had a stop loss under 17,600. Again, I don't know whether the bottom is in right now. And as an analyst, that is also, we're not fortune tellers, right? The only thing that we can do is be level-headed and just look at scenarios. So my personal first scenario here for Bitcoin, actually the bullish case for Bitcoin going into the end of the year, is that you will see some kind of news coming out that all the people who have funds in FTX, well, Binance is going to take over FTX and the funds are going to be all right and people will get their hard-earned crypto and money back. Now, that's a bullish news, of course. If that comes out, if Binance really takes over FTX and if they completely bail out FTX and if they make sure that all the people get their crypto back, then people are going to start regaining trust in the industry. And then what we can expect is simply that people are becoming extremely bearish, calling for way lower levels here, actually still trading above the range low, and that we can ultimately see a move back up to the range high in the next coming weeks. And that would be the bullish end of the year scenario for Bitcoin. It would be simply that, okay, we had tragic events in June, we've been range trading, we've had another tragic event this week with FTX collapsing, but all by all, it's gonna be okay. FTX will be bailed out, and then we can really expect a strong push from these range lows here under $17,600. This is an ultimate place where you can see a short squeeze occur, because you have to remember, this right here is when the most amount of people are becoming the most fearful and the most bearish, and this is where everybody expects lower prices. And that is one very strong argument to say that maybe we don't go lower here and we do start to move up. So really the pivot point in the market to basically tell you that we are going back above $25,000 for a Bitcoin is around $21,300. This is the price where we got to before the FTX saga news came out, and that has brought us to these new lows. If we can, in the coming days and weeks, reclaim a foothold above $21,300 with a daily candle close, you will be very likely that the bottom is in and that we're going to go back to $25,200 and potentially way higher prices. Now that's the bullish scenario. That is the scenario where Binance says, okay, FTX, we will bail you out. Investors, customers are going to be refunded and the trust in the industry returns back. Now, of course, you always have to prepare for two scenarios. You always have to do it. And in Titan trading, we always emphasize the fact that you don't know where the price is going, so you have to be prepared for the two scenarios. So what is the other scenario? Well, maybe Binance does their due diligence on FTX and says, oh, hands off. This is too dirty even for us. This is too much debt even for us, Binance, to carry on our shoulders. Now, you can imagine what would happen if news like that comes out. Then what is very likely going to happen is that this range low at $17,600 is that we will lose this and that we will start closing daily candles under $17,600. Now, over in Titan, we have a very strong, solid DCA plan for Bitcoin with very, very interesting levels that we personally are buying Bitcoin at potentially lower levels. So yesterday, as I said, we already had a first buy-in at $16,900. At one point, that position was already 10% in the profit. So I'm just telling you, even on a big red day, actually in Titan, we took a position, a long position that unleveraged was up 10%. So that's just to give you some perspective about what you can basically get there. But so the bullish scenario, as I said, is good news. Binance bails out FTX, everything is fine and dandy, we go back to 25K by the end of the year. The bearish case is that truly we will start losing this low, this $17,600 low, and that we will turn this into resistance. At that point, I do expect way lower prices, and those can be all the way down to 11K. There's a couple of levels in between there that, of course, we have shared in Titan and that we will capitulate on, but this is it. This is it. So crypto is looking kind of shaky right now, but I will always advise people not to become too panicky. Obviously not financial advice, but me personally, I'm not selling the bulk of my Bitcoin. And why? Because we might be running into a big short squeeze here, and then before you know it, it's too late to buy back. To me personally, it makes a lot more sense to look at the levels below me and try to buy more Bitcoin, because I've done my due diligence on Bitcoin, and I think that Bitcoin will be around in the decades to come, regardless of Sam Bankman-Fried and regardless of FTX and regardless of all this short-term news that is now basically being thrown on our plate. So my advice to you is stay calm. Look at it still as a range. As long as we don't have a daily candle close below $17,600 for Bitcoin, it's not too tragic, and we can actually start moving up from here towards the end of the year. If we do get daily candle closes below $17,600, way lower levels to buy, in Titan you would get them. A very warm welcome to come over there. And that's basically it. And like I said, don't be overly focused on the news. Don't let yourself be dragged too much into believing that everything is going to zero or everything is going to a million. Mostly, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Things are not that bad and things are not that good. And we have to basically stay calm, level-headed investors and traders. And that is, of course, what we do in Penny Boys and Titan. And again, a very warm welcome to welcome you there. That is what I have today for crypto. Those are my updates, and I hope to see you very soon in one of the two or both Discords. So, see you later.